Hey, what's going on, guys? This is going to be my out-of-box review for the Master Grade Gelgoog High Mobility Type UMA Lightning custom version. And don't let that baby blue color fool you, because this kit is pretty badass. A really nice variation of the Master Grade 2.0 Gelgoog, which is already a really good kit at its base. If you guys haven't built ever a Master Grade Gelgoog 2.0, it's really nice. Very similar to the how nice the Zaku 2.0 kit is. I feel like the Gelgoog 2.0 is a little bit more simple. It's a very detailed Master Grade, but it comes together quite quickly. The couple times that I've built one, I've been surprised actually how quickly the kit comes together. It doesn't really take all that long, but it's a very nice looking end result, so I like that quite a bit. Once again, I do want to say a big thank you to USA Gundam Store for sponsoring this video. Guys, do check out my coupon code and the link to their site down below. You guys can save 10% there on their site. They're awesome. And let's get into the review. Basically, all this is just the standard Gelgoog, but we have some new weapons and a fair amount of new parts for the kit, actually. Obviously, the backpack is entirely new. The head is almost entirely new for the most part. Pretty much everything we can see on the head is new. We have a bunch of new parts for the legs to accommodate the extra kind of thruster units there on the back of the legs, which connect up to the thighs as well. So we have some new parts there for the back of the thighs even. And because this is a premium Bandai Ace Pilot mobile suit, we have this really awesome sheet of waterside decals. Just a lot of different colors there. There's yellow, white, red, black, even a little bit of purplish blue there at the bottom. These decals look amazing. Very awesome if you're a big fan of MSV style stuff. I really can't wait to get this kit painted and get these beautiful decals put on there. It's going to look really good. I pretty much already reviewed this kit before, not too long ago when I reviewed the Premium Bandai Gelgoog Cannon kit, so it's going to be pretty much the same in terms of the articulation and everything. I will run through that quickly, but first I just want to talk about the accessories. So first I'll just go through the standard weapons and accessories that come with just the regular Gelgoog 2.0 kit that aren't new for this kit. So here we have the Beam Naginata with the curved blades on the end. You can also switch those out for just some straight beam effect parts here if you want. Then we do also get a connection piece for that as well, which will allow you to connect this onto the back of the mobile suit, but with the backpack on this, that means you'd have to go without that backpack. And then we have the standard Gelgoog beam rifle. In this case, I have it equipped with the bipod and the grenade launcher. That is standard to the regular mass production Gelgoog type, but the Char's version doesn't have the grenade launcher on the bottom. You do have the option of doing one or the other, whichever one you want in this case. I prefer the look of this with the grenade launcher on there. I think that gives it just a little bit more bulk to the design. There is also a clear part there for the camera lens, which I haven't put in yet. I'll put in after it's painted. And then, of course, we have the Gelgoog's very iconic shield. I really like this shield, and it's a very nice detailed design for the 2.0. Nice detail there behind, and then we have these little vents here on the front and the side. It looks really cool. It just grabs onto the handle there, and then this kind of clips around the side of the hand. There's a little bit of movement here, and then there's this extension arm here, and what that is for plugging this onto the backpack as well. We have another connection piece for this, but again, you would have to use this kit without the backpack in order to actually plug this onto the back. Otherwise, you can very easily just plug it right there onto the arm as usual. We have our action-based connector, of course. And then we have a just generic 1/100 scale pilot figure for this. It's not anything specifically supposed to be UMA Lightning. It's just a generic pilot figure. Okay, so now let's get into the new weapons for this kit. We have a new beam rifle, which is ditching the stock. There's nothing on the back of that. Very large area here for the trigger. I guess that's maybe for having two fingers in there or something, I guess. Seems to be a grenade launcher, I would imagine, here on the bottom as well. It was some nice color separation, white and red part there for that. There is also a clear red lens part here for this camera, which again I haven't put in yet, but you do have that included. Between the two, I'm actually not sure which I like more. There are certain things that I like and dislike about both of the designs. What I would say, though, is that at least you have both of them. You could dual wield if you want. That's not really to my taste. I think that'd look kind of stupid. But at the very least, you'll have an extra rifle that you could then give to another kit to make some nice custom or something. So extra full weapons is always nice. Next, we have the Rats River Triple Barrel Missile. Yes, that's what this is called, a Rats River Triple Barrel Missile. It's a very strange name, but basically this is just a small missile launcher here, which will just connect onto the forearm. What you have to do is just remove this part on the side of the arm, swap it out for this, and then you'll have that. The only thing about that is that once you have this connected onto the arm, then obviously you can't use the shield, but what you could do is just put it onto the other arm. It's kind of supposed to be on the left arm, but obviously it will fit on both sides. It doesn't really matter. And then we have the real star of the show, the new weapon, the missile launcher. It's very simple. And I mean, it's supposed to look very utilitarian. I think all it is just a very simple like crate design with a handle and a trigger there on the bottom, and just 4 missiles in there with some nice red parts for the tips and just some nice detail all around. It's a pretty cool way that this is constructed, and I think it looks great, and it's just so unique looking, and I think that's one of the reasons why this kit was so attractive when it was first announced, is just because it's nice to have a high mobility type Gelgoog, and I think there's a lot of love for this design. It's a really cool, interesting take on the Gelgoog with just some small changes here and there. But this weapon especially, I think, really makes this kit stand out as being something really cool and unique. Okay, so let's take a look at the kit up close here, talk a little bit about this. When you turn the head, the mono eye inside there, which is barely visible now without any paint on, it's just a clear part inside there. I suppose if you put a little like very bright, clear, bright pink paint on that, you can probably be able to see it a little bit better. But just like with the 2.0 Zaku, that mono eye moves from side to side when you turn the head. That's pretty cool. The head will actually point up pretty far, pretty nicely there, all the way up to here. And then, of course, down to here. As you can see, when you catch the light just right, you can see the mono eye inside there. The cockpit here in the stomach does open up, and we have a seated pilot there inside. The stomach crunch on this kit is very nice. There is some side-to-side bend here as well in the stomach section. Back around to the backpack, the new parts for this kit. There is a little bit of movement here with these thruster units here at the bottom. Those will move up and down just a little bit. Not a whole lot, but it is something. The shoulder armor will move independently, but then we can bring the arm all the way up to just about there. Very slightly more than 90 degrees. Not a whole lot, though. The shoulder joint does swing forward and back fairly well. And otherwise, the arm is pretty standard, rotates at the top, a nice double joint in the elbow. Again, nice details with these little vent details in the front and the back of the arm there. Up underneath the shoulder armor, you can see on the side of the shoulder armor, just a lot of really nice details everywhere. One thing about this forearm armor, though, is when you're moving stuff around, the forearm armor tends to come apart very easily. So I would recommend just gluing those in place so that those will stay on there firmly. The wrist is just on a ball joint, then the thumb is one solid piece on a ball joint, and the fingers are separated 3 in 1 at the base, but then there's a separate joint for each of the individual fingers there at the middle of the finger. Again, basically the same as the 2.0 Zaku hands. At the front skirt, this front section here will move up and out of the way. One of the nicest points about this kit, I've got to say, is these really nice parts that go up underneath the skirt. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look at this kit from the bottom, there's a lot of nice details to see. All this nice frame underneath the skirting. These individual thruster units here that were all individually articulated up underneath the ass. If you bend the part around a little bit, you're able to bring the side skirt up to around there, and you're able to bring the leg up then all the way out to there, which is pretty good. The problem though is that the leg is pretty heavy, so I'm not sure if it will really be able to stay up there as it is. Around on the back skirt, if you kind of drop this down like that, you can then fold out this part, which will be another connection point for connecting your beam naginata here onto the back skirt if you want. So that means you can use that without having to actually take off the backpack if you want. And at the legs here, I want to give you guys a good look at the new parts for the back of the thigh where these hoses will connect up into. These hoses are just a soft rubber. Luckily, though, you can't really see the mold lines on them. Usually with these soft rubber parts, especially on the tubing parts, the mold lines are really visible and they just look bad and they're like impossible to sand, so there's really not much you can do about it. In this case, the mold lines are pretty minimal, so they're actually not too bad. Those are connected down here onto these new parts for the back of the leg, some nice red parts for the vent detail inside there. We have new parts for the leg armor now to facilitate these new parts here on the back of the leg. When we bend that knee, we'll get some nice separation of the knee armor there in the front. But you're really only able to get the knee to bend to about 90 degrees there just because of the shape of everything there around the knee section. Up underneath these bell-bottom pants, we have some thruster bells inside there as well. And then up underneath the feet, some really nice detail here also. The ankle joints will move side to side like so, and back and forward, and then some bend at the toe as well, bringing the foot up to there, again with some nice detail being revealed when you bend the toe. So very often when we have these P-Bandai kits where they're basically just color variations with just some new weapons and a few parts added, what we end up with is a lot of leftover parts, and that just feels like it's a lot of wasted plastic, and it's probably plastic that you paid a little bit for, a very, very minimal amount, I'm sure, but it does add to the price, just the amount of sheer plastic in there. And when you have a whole lot of leftover parts, it just kind of feels like a big waste. But in this case, luckily, pretty much all the extra parts are just these original Gelgoog weapons, which we have on here. Which you can most certainly use. Other than that, in terms of like totally useless parts, there's maybe like 3 or 4 little small ones, and that's pretty much it. So they were able to engineer this kit in a way that left very little waste, which is great. And again, with these weapons, whether you want to use the original Gelgoog weapons or the new weapons for this, you'll have extras that you can use then with other kits to make some other kind of custom mobile suits, which is always good. In terms of negatives of the kit itself, really, there's a couple of loose parts. As I mentioned, the forearm armor parts, the kind of stacked plates parts that are kind of like in between the shoulder joint there, in between the torso and the shoulder joint. Those can be a little bit annoying because as the one closest to the body, if that comes out, it kind of like just is a little bit loose in there when you're trying to move the shoulders around. You have to kind of push that back in place. It's a very, very minor thing, but ultimately there's very little negative to say about the 2.0 Gelgoog. I think it's just a really, really nicely designed kit. The details and everything on the exterior, the proportions, everything, I think all looks really good as well. It, of course, depends on your own personal taste, but it's just a really, really good kit overall, I think. So really the only real unfortunate thing about this kit is just this fact that it's a P-Bandai kit, and that's just going to make it a little bit more expensive for most people. The list price though is really not that bad. That is slightly higher for master grades, as most of the new master grades coming out these days are usually going for between 4,000 and 5,000 yen, being slightly higher, 5,500 yen. It's a little bit more, but I mean, it's a pretty big size kit, and if you guys saw in the unboxing, the box is pretty large as well. So compared to other kits with boxes of similar size, I think that price is very, very fair. Again, of course, just the problem is just that it's P-Bandai, so you're going to have to be getting it through some sort of proxy service or secondary seller or something like that, so you're going to have to be paying more for that. And if the Master Grade Gelgoog Cannon is any indicator, this won't get reissued very often, if ever. So the rarity of this kit is definitely going to make it more expensive as well. So if this is something that you like, I would definitely recommend trying to search out to get one sooner than later, because it's very likely that these could get much harder to get later on. So there it is, very cool kit. One thing about the missile launcher there, speaking on the handle of that kind of like when you have bazookas that go over the shoulder, things like that, the handle will bend forward a little bit, mostly on master grades, sometimes on high grades and real grades as well. But the handle bends forward in order to help that just kind of hold that over the shoulder well. In this case, it bends very, very slightly, so you're not going to be able to get that arm bent very much while this is held in the hand, just because it just can't really work, just the physics, the angles of that. But it holds onto the missile launcher just fine, and it looks really good doing it. Again, I think that weapon is just so cool looking, very unique, and it makes this kit worth it, I think, in my opinion. All the new parts for this kit look great, and they're just added onto a kit that already at its core is a very, very good kit already. So what's not to love about it? I guess you could maybe not love the color scheme. Yeah, I could see how that could go either way, but I may make some slight changes to the color scheme whenever I get around to painting this. But in the meantime, I hope that we do get some more of these kits, some more of these high mobility type Gelgoogs. We had a lot of them in the Ace Pilot log with the Master Grade 2.0 high mobility type Zakus. We had the Uma Lightning version, as well as Gabby Hazard and Eric Mansfield, and a whole bunch of them. I could definitely see them doing at least a couple more here with the high mobility type Gelgoog as well. I hope that they do. I'm looking forward to that. So far, we haven't seen anything about that, but who knows? Fingers crossed. With them developing the new parts for this kit, I imagine that they'll probably want to use those again and milk some more money out of this design. And I'll be happy when they do. So again, huge thank you to USA Gundam Store for sponsoring this. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do have questions or comments, you can leave those down below. As always, thank you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey! Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store. Use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10. Save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.